Unfortunately, you can only have about that much apiece.
We don't mess around here, huh? Very cool.
They used to have a live sketch, which was translations for the deaf, and it was somebody up next to somebody yelling.
Well, we'll send you one. Let's get away from this gear.
Thank you very much for coming. It's lovely to see you all. And the thing is, I'm here really to do a little promotional film for GIBSON. That's why I'm here. And but seeing that we're playing a few songs, so I thought you might like to hear them. I'd just like to say before I do them that you know, I haven't even started the rehearsals for this tour yet, and so you'll forgive me when you hear. You'll understand when you hear it that, you know, this is sort of rehearsal, if you know. So that was one thing. But I've just finished writing my autobiography, and which is rather unsurprisingly called Lucky Man. And yes, and you know, as I was writing it, it occurred to me that there was a collection of songs that popped up that were influential in my life, in my career, and not just that I'd written, but songs by other people. And you know, when I collected them all together, it was like it represented really the journey that I've been on with the audience. You know, we've shared this journey together, really. And I came up with the concept, Songs of a Lifetime. And so I decided that what I would do is, and behind a lot of these songs there's a story to tell, a little story. And I thought, you know, there's a story for everyone, really. I mean, I'm sure all of you have got stories with a lot of music that you've heard. I mean, I certainly have. You know, you knew where you were when that particular song was done. I get people come up and say, oh, Greg, you know, brain salad surgery, that got me through university, or stuff like that. And so, I thought what a nice thing it would be to share that journey together with people. And I wanted to do it in a sort of intimate way, an almost interactive way, like we're sitting here now. And so that I would tell my story and play the song, but also give you a chance to tell your stories, you know, and to hear some of the things that come back. Now, some of the stories, of course, are very ordinary, and, you know, like I told you about, oh, brain salad surgery got me through college, or whatever it was, but some of them are extraordinary. And you get some of the funniest things happen. And of course it's very entertaining. And so, you know, I wanted to do a tour which was colourful and effervescent, not sort of, you know, just sitting strumming, playing folk songs and a legend in his own lunchtime, but something that would sort of entertain people and they could enjoy and laugh along with, and be nostalgic perhaps as well. Because I think it's nice now to look back and remember those great days. You know, somebody said earlier about they were at the Madison Square Garden show when we had the orchestra there.
Yep.
Was you? Was it? And,
all 3 shows.
And the snow.
You were too.
All the snow as well.
You know, and these are memories, and it's lovely when you look back. So that was it really, and I've done a few of these. I've just started putting these tracks together. And so I thought I'd play them for you tonight. There's just a few songs, so please forgive me if it all goes tits up. But, you know, it's done with the best of intentions, I assure you. It's very quiet out there.
Crickets.
It's the funniest thing, you know. I find it very hard. I don't know if, Jordan, you're the same, but I can easily, I have no problem playing in front of 20,000 people.
Exactly. You're nervous
but
now?
As soon as it's like 6 people, it's
He's
like,
nervous.
Jesus.
Don't worry, it's all going on YouTube, Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Only a true word spoken in jest. see, that's the thing. J200s, Gibson J200s. You know, this is it. This is it. The King, Elvis. You know, and the guitar was always it's strumming. It's a beautiful guitar. Thank you, Gibson. Okay, so here we go then. Well, I'll start off with the blatantly obvious. It's Lucky Man. Here we go. Horses and ladies by the score, all dressed in satin, waiting by the door. What a lucky man he was. What a lucky man he was. White lace and feathers, they made up his bed. The cold-covered mattress on which he was led. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. What a lucky man he was. All right. He went to fight wars for his country and his king, of his honor and his glory. The people sing. What a lucky man he was. What a lucky man he was. A bullet had found him. His blood ran as he cried. No money could save. So he lay down and he died. What a lucky man he was. What a lucky man he was. we went to the same guitar teacher, a man called Don Strike, who was a great teacher. He also taught Andy Summers. And so Robert and I, we knew everything that he knew, I knew, and everything I knew, he knew. So we had this really deep understanding of each other's musical knowledge. So that was sort of a hidden behind, when you saw the band on stage, that really wasn't apparent. And it's very unusual, you know, to find two guys in a band that have learned note for note exactly the same guitar exercise. You know? And then Ian MacDonald, who joined the band, came straight from the military. He'd never been in a band before, and he came from a military brass band. So that was very peculiar. You know, good, because he had no influences at all. You know, so he brought in a sort of, he didn't come with a sort of military influence, but, you know, he had a sort of classical background, a formal music background. And then you had Mike Giles, who was an extraordinary drummer. I used to remember he could play 4 different time signatures, one with each hand and each foot, and he could keep them all going and come back in time. The most incredible mental independence, you know. And he used to play these extraordinarily unusual drum fills that would be completely out of time. And it would be very hard to play with them, because you'd want to play out of time, but you had to mentally keep the beat going in your head so that when he came back in, you were in time. Otherwise, he would come back in and you'd be out of time, which he'd remind you about later on. Okay, here's a song from King Crimson. It's called I Talk to the Wind. Said the straight man to the late man, where have you been? I've been here and I've been there and I've been in between. I talk to the wind, my words are all carried away. I talk to the wind. The wind does not hear. The wind cannot hear. I'm on the outside, looking inside. What do I see? Much confusion, disillusion, all around me. I talk to the wind. My words are all carried away. I talk to the wind. The wind does not hear. The wind cannot hear. You don't possess me, don't impress me, just upset my mind. Can't instruct me or conduct me, just upset my mind. I talk to the wind. My words are all carried away. I talk to the wind. The wind does not hear. The wind cannot hear. to the wind. The wind does not hear. The wind cannot hear, said the straight man to the late man. Where have you been? I've been here and I've been there and I've been in between.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Very kind. Too kind, really. But I am grateful. Yes, I mean, I talked to the wind. So the King Crimson era was very precious for me. We only did one tour of the United States, though, and the band broke up. And it was actually at the Fillmore West in San Francisco, where Ian and Mike came up and they said, we don't want to tour anymore. We'd like to make records in the studio, and so that was it. They didn't, you know, that was the end of the band right there, really. Coincidentally, that night, that very night, on the same bill was the group called The Nice, and Keith Emerson was in it. And as all musicians do, we sort of congregated back at the hotel bar, and so I started chatting to Keith, and he said, you know, how's the band getting on? Because he knew we were doing quite well. And I said, you know, sadly, I've come to an end. He said, that's strange, because he said, I've just about gone as far as I can go with The Nice, you know, and that was it, really. He said, how about thinking about maybe we could form a band together? So on the same night that King Crimson ended, ELP formed, just a remarkable coincidence, and I'm very glad it happened, really, because, you know, it's I don't know how I could have really consciously gone about trying to make that happen again, you know, a band with real chemistry. It's not something you can shake out of your sleeve, you know, it either happens or it doesn't. You know that. And you're very lucky if you find a group of people where the chemistry's effervescent and you know, and you really click together. It's a wonderful thing, and it's very uncommon, you know. And so I'm lucky to have had twice that privilege of being in a band that really, it was almost effortless, you know, the stuff was just coming out, and you got better than you were, really. That's one way I could describe it. You became better, really, than you were. Okay, here's a song now called From the Beginning. Unkind. You don't mean I'm blind. Perhaps there's a thing or two I think of lying in bed I shouldn't have said, but there it is. From the beginning, yeah. Me just can't recall. Doesn't matter at all. But there it is. You see, it's all clear. You weren't meant to be here. From the beginning, yeah. That's it. Thank you very much for coming.
Very cool.
Hey, Greg,
It is.
I saw you at the Phil Maurice with Edgar Winter and Cushion Dare. Do you actually remember that concert?
Really, yes, I do. I remember that. I think the first time I played the Phil Maurice was with Joe Cocker. That was with King Crimson. Oh, I'll never forget Joe. You know, we were the support act. You know, we went down very well. But well, you know, I waited to see Joe go on. You know, and I waited in the wings, and I waited and I waited. You know, there was a lot of kerfuffle backstage. You know, I didn't know what it was, but what it was Joe had got completely slaughtered, and they were trying to, you know, sober him up and get him on. You know, they didn't want to go on. All of a sudden, I see Bill Graham, the late Bill Graham, and a couple of the boys, you know, the sort of boys who were backstage hands, literally with Joe round their shoulders like this, carrying him up onto the stage, and they got him on in the wings. And Bill Graham walked on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the great Joe Cocker," and on he went, you know, and he staggered literally to the microphone. He got the microphone, he kind of gripped it like this, and then he started singing, and of course it all looked natural then. Because Joe doesn't give a shit. He was falling everywhere. They looked on, but the incredible thing was he sounded fantastic. He sounded fantastic, and that was Joe, you know. that was the first time I ever played the Fillmore East. But I do remember Edgar as an incredible, you know, because Edgar's an albino. And one night, this was, I can't remember, it was somewhere down south. And we were playing in this little place, and I don't know if, no, I think Edgar was supporting that, so he went on first. And we thought we'd go and watch him start, you know. And the stage goes black, there's no lights on. And what Edgar had, he had a little light on the end of the microphone, because he couldn't see very well. So he had a little red light on the end of his microphone. So when he started, he could see where he was going to sing. So they all got up on the edge of the stage, and it was all black, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Edgar Winter. And he comes on, and he went up to start singing. And rock my baby split. And what he was yelling into the face of a roadie who had a cigarette on. And he was so screaming in this guy's face. No, no! Funny things that come to mind. That just shows you how interesting it is to hear that feedback. Now, just that little thing, I would never have remembered that story had you not mentioned it, you see.
All right, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I've just finished writing my autobiography. Did I mention that at all?
Yeah. When did that
I
come
did.
out?
But I'm releasing it as an audiobook. And I'm doing it in three separate volumes, because it's kind of how my life was three, you know. But the first volume is from when I was born up to the end of King Crimson. And that's out now, with the tour. And then I'll do the second volume, and then the printed book will come out for Christmas.
Are you going to do a meet and greet with the signing and all that?
I do what I'm told, frankly. That's the way it works here. Ellie tells you what to do. I know.
Ellie, your response?
Who will be releasing the physical version of the book?
Sorry?
Who will be putting out the physical
It is Omnibus Press, which is a division of music sales, I believe. And we're doing that now, designing all the covers and stuff for it. It was a very interesting experience writing it, you know, because when I first did it, you know, I've never really had any great urge to write an autobiography. But, you know, like all musicians, we sat down and we have a few cuffs, you know, and start telling stories, right? People say, oh, Greg, you know, you really should write a book, you know. Everybody says that, I must say it to you. Because you see so much, you do so much. And you think, yeah, but to me, I am an ordinary person. I've had an extraordinary life, but I'm an ordinary guy, really. And so, you know, you're a bit reluctant to think, oh yeah, you know, but, and when I sat down and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go, you know. Do you know what? I couldn't think of a single thing. I couldn't remember my name. You know, and you can't think of a thing. Where do you start? But after a while, you know, and you start to talk to old friends, and they say, just like you said, you know, do you remember Paul? And you go, yeah, I do remember that. That's interesting. And you make a little note, and it builds up from there. And then, of course, you know, your memory starts kicking in. And you remember funny little things, you know. I always remember in King Crimson, Mike Giles, he used to, because, you know, me and Ian McDonald, when Pete Sinford, we were the hash smokers, you know, you know. But Mike and Robert never used to smoke hash, you know. They used to smoke this stuff called Old Holborn, which was rolling tobacco, but it was so strong. But I'll never forget Mike Giles saying to me one day, as if it was some science, as if it, in the tobacco tin, it keeps it fresh. I always remember that. Why?
Greg, speaking of King Crimson, I only just noticed that you did a Cadence and Cascade vocal back in the day.
Did I? I'm sure you're right. I was on the second album.
On the second album.
Oh, yeah. Because, well, you know, to be honest, Robert wanted to continue on with King Crimson, and I would have done, and I would like to, but Ian MacDonald was so important. He wrote a lot of the material, and him and Michael going was just too big. It wasn't like, let's get 2 other guys and it'll be all right, nobody will notice, you know. These were fundamental. They were fundamental to the concept, and so I said to Robert at the time, let's start a new band, you know. But he said, no, we invested a lot in the name and the thing of King Crimson. So that was that really. You know, it just wasn't possible. But what happened then? Robert decided to carry on with the band, and so and you know, it was a shared thing. You buy a record and you sit and listen to it with your mates. It was a shared experience, you know, and you talk about it and all of that, and you read the credits, and it would be interesting. And that's where a lot of people also got to learn about and discover art. It was from those record covers, you know. And so it was a great thing in 2 ways. You shared the music, and you got exposed to some art. And then the Walkman came along, the Sony Walkman. And from that moment forward, it all became a solitary experience. From a shared experience, it became a very solitary experience. And really changed how music was. And so, but it's kind of an aside. What you were talking about is re-releases. But so I still look upon a record as an entertainment, in a way. It's not just a recording. I mean, a download is just a recording. But a record, something you could hold, something that somebody said to me a while back. Said we were talking about vinyl records. He said, "Greg, I've got to admit to you," he said, "I used to smell the record. So when I'd get a King Crimson album, so I'd smell it, and because we thought that it came from the artist, and in a way it did. It was the next closest thing to if I was actually knocking them out, you know, or we were printing them ourselves, because you really cared about every detail, and I think that care diminished when, you know, in relationship to the packaging diminishing, everything diminished until all of a sudden it's not even there. It's just click, I'll take it. Buy, yes, oof. You know, all of a sudden you're the proud owner of a new track, but nothing, wrapped in nothing, naked. That's not how it is really, how it should be, I think. So, yeah, so when somebody wants to repackage the products, to me it's not just a question of repackaging. They've remastered it. They've done it really well, and it's done with fine care, and they've done 5.1, and it's been done beautifully. You know, the fidelity is wonderful. And it's faithful to the original, but it's clean and crisp and bright. You know, it's a beautiful version of it. So if for someone who never owned an ELP record, then I'd rather they bought that one, frankly. And if you did own it, like you've got an old copy of something, well, I don't mind getting a better class copy, especially as the packaging is really beautiful. So from that point of view, but other than that, I don't really care. Because look, I make them. As Elvis said, I make them, you sell them. That's how I feel. I don't listen to my records. Once they're made, they're gone, really. But I do have a sort of a feeling about playing live. I think playing live is part of a record. A record is just a recording, really. I think it's incumbent upon you as an artist to perform that. It's like a deal. It's like a record is only part of the transaction, I think. It's a recording of the real thing that you've kind of invested in. I've always felt like that anyway. And I love playing live, so it's kind of, and that's what for me this tour is about. It's actually meeting the people who bought those records and that shared those memories.
Will you play some bass on it?
Yeah, I will actually. And I'm trying to, because some of this material, I don't want to talk about too much because part of it is the surprise of it. Some of these things are really going to be quite a surprise. And because not all the material is mine. I mean, this is stuff that I've written or recorded, but some of it isn't. So there'll be quite some surprises there. And so I wanted to make it an entertaining show. I don't want it to be, as I said, just sitting on a stool strumming a guitar, blah, blah, blah.
Well, if I may speak for the fans of your bass playing on those recordings, it's just exquisite.
You're very
And
kind.
it's
You're too
really
kind,
something
really.
special. And the way you put those parts together with Keith, it's pretty extraordinary.
You know, it's really kind of you to say that. I'm not a great bass player. There's probably bass players within half a mile of here who could really show me where to go. But I'm sure there is. The fact, though, is that, well, two things really. One, Keith writes great music. So, you know, that's to start with, you're playing great stuff. But second of all, I really had a passion for getting it right, for doing it right. The other thing too is interesting is when you're in a three-piece band, you kind of got to get it right because if you don't get it right, it sounds like shit. Because you know, there's only three of you, and if you don't, if the dynamic isn't right, we're doing something like pictures at an exhibition, for example. You really got to be careful where the voicings are and what you do. Otherwise, the whole thing just becomes, it tilts, and that's the end of it. You know, you've lost the whole sort of balance of the music. So bass playing in that situation is quite a dodgy thing. Of course, you know, my simplistic way of playing has been, you know, completely bypassed. And, you know, now you've got the people playing like phenomenal.
But you played the music.
But it's a different style.
You played it brilliantly.
Well, thank you very much. You're very kind. I'm humbled. Well, that's it then. Have your glasses of wine. Let's have a drink. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, Greg.
Thank you very much.